Do you like testimonies of overcoming? Saved and Strong shares stories of people who have overcome struggles to find strength. Each episode inspires resilience, hope, and faith, reminding listeners they're not alone. This is Carrie Watts on the Saved and Strong podcast. I am here today with my friend and artist, Mac Meckley. Mac, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Carrie.
Mac is a Hope Books author. Her book is coming out soon. Mac, please tell us all about your book.
So, I am writing a book for the young women or young moms who really hear the enemy louder than the Lord, and for the women that are afraid that they've lost themselves and aching to remember who they are. And I believe they're beloved and so adored. So it's a fictionalized version of my own story about losing myself in early motherhood and then finding my way back, not just through art, but discerning the enemy's voice and finding the Lord's. And so I think the wildest part is I'm living out this ending in real time. And I just got back from the Florence Biennale in Italy, and I've needed to rewrite Act 3. And so I am aiming to have it complete and in your hands the beginning of 2026, hopefully around Valentine's Day. It's been um, a very intimate and romantic look at those masculine relationships in my life and how they mirror our relationship with God and Jesus and how he covers us as women.
So what genre would you categorize your book in? Would it be adult fiction?
Fiction,
Yeah.
correct. Yes, very much adult.
Yes. Very, very much adult. I love that.
Yes,
Okay. Mac's website is Meckley, MacMeckley.com, MacMeckley.com. So y'all need to all go to her website and find her and join her email list so that you can get all the latest updates. Her art is absolutely gorgeous. Her Instagram page is
Mackenzie Meckley.
Mackenzie Meckley.
Yes.
She's just got a phenomenal visual, just everything is just so
Thank you.
inspirational and encouraging there.
Thank you.
Mac and I met through our publisher, Hope Books publisher, and she was so kind to reach out to me and ask me to be on this podcast. And I was happy to have her because, of course,
Mhm.
I want to promote all of our Hope Book authors. But so I thank you for reaching out to me. This is the Saved and Strong podcast. So I love to hear about your faith journey. Do you mind sharing how you became a mighty woman of God?
Thank you for having me. I grew up with a faith. My parents really invested in our education, and so I feel like my faith is rooted in our academics. And I was privileged enough to get to go to Christian schools and a Christian high school, and so I had a very theologically sound background. The Holy Spirit revealed Himself to me in motherhood and in marriage, and so I think I really strived and tried as a young adult to live obediently and with wisdom. But I think motherhood kind of cracks that open and you shift from wisdom to faith. And so it's been the most real, tangible part of my life now as a mom and as a wife. It's been those roles that have brought me to my knees and shown me who he is and what he thinks of me.
Yeah. Was there a pivotal moment where you decided as a mom that you needed the Lord more now than ever?
I think it was in my marriage that was really telling when I got married young. My husband is a little bit older than me. And so I really went from my father's house to my husband's house. And he finished raising me in a sense. And I'm so grateful because of who the man he is. But when our son came along, those babies magnified the holes in your game. And so it was coming together with my man. And really, he hadn't grown up with the same faith base as I did. There was church attendance, but there wasn't the study and there wasn't the community supporting him and challenging him as a husband and a dad. And so I learned that my faith wasn't just for me, it was now going to be this catalyst of strength in my marriage and in our family unit. And so I think finding out that I wasn't as strong as I thought I was, like I said, revealing the holes in my own game, I needed to rely on the Lord to really show my husband what faith meant because it wasn't about me and it wasn't going to be about him because we're so limited as humans. And so I think it was really that surrender of fighting for my marriage and our family and allowing God to step in and cover us that really inspired my husband to say, there's something to this. There's more than just my wife's ability or bravery, but it's him, it's the Lord covering us and making us whole because we can't do that on
Mhm.
our own.
Yeah. I love your reference to holes in the game, and then he makes you whole. Yeah.
It's so real. It's
Yes.
so real. And not that I ever would have said, oh, I got it going on and I got it figured out. I'm pretty self deprecating and I love to make fun of myself. But I think as women, we really pride ourselves in sometimes being able to fix things or being strong enough and that any sign of weakness it's unacceptable or it disqualifies us in some way, shape, or form. And then we're limited.
Mhm.
I think when you agree with the world and really the enemy that you can do it all on your own, you're disqualifying your whole life to not just strength, but a really good time.
Yes. I read through the Bible every year, and we've been going through, 1 Corinthians again, and, Paul uses a lot of that chiastic structure that, when you're humble, you'll be exalted. When you're exalted, you will be humbled. But he also talks about, when we are weak, then he is strong.
Right.
It's so much easier to make fun of ourselves than to give ourselves any credit at all, but that's not the kind of weakness that he wants us to have. He just wants us
No.
humility because he wants us
Right.
to know that we're royalty in his eyes, and he
100.
and made in his image. So
Right.
he wouldn't want us to criticize ourselves. He would want us to,
No.
you know, see us as glorious in his eyes, but at the same time, we know that we are limited in our abilities and that yes, we need him. And that is a beautiful strength to have, is not on our own, but with him, right? I love
Right.
that.
And I absolutely, I think that was a huge part of where my story started and fictionalizing it in with my main character's name is Liz. And, seeing the transformation of putting yourself down and mentally how that weakens you and limits you when you're in accord with lies from the enemy. And my mama always said when I was little, you're your own worst enemy. You need to learn that kindness. And the enemy would love nothing more than for us to belittle ourselves and think less of ourselves because we are made in his image. And the minute you realize, I don't ever want to be, you know, okay with it because it's such a big idea that I'm made in his image. But just the teeny tiny sense of that, there's such power. And the enemy would love to keep that from us. He would love you to stay with him in all of the lies that you think and then come to believe because it's completely keeps you from the life that is waiting for you.
Yeah, beautiful. So tell us more about, as a busy mom, how do you get your quiet time in? And what does that look like?
If I can beat my kids to waking up, I like to begin the day that way. And it usually shows when I don't. If I have to insert it later, it's reading my Bible. It's it's a different day. There's redemption in all of it. So, as long whether that's in the car, but first thing in the morning is usually the greatest way to start my day. And honestly, I wake up praying And I try and keep that dialogue open throughout my whole day. I pray over my kids before I kick them out of my car to go to school, and I pray my way home. But those two pieces, to be in dialogue with the Lord throughout my day and hopefully read the words that He has for me, I'm such a better mom.
Now, are you just reading through the Bible, or do you have a Bible study that you are working on right now?
This year, I'm reading through the Bible. So I'm taking my sweet time and I'm just verse by verse, getting through as much as I can before they wake up in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I know as an artist, you have a lot of time to listen. Are you quiet when you paint, or are you listening to a book or worship music? What do you do when you paint?
That has become my secret space. And I didn't realize that. But what's so great and kind about being a daughter of the kings is he meets us where we are. I think in the Bible, we see men have to go to the mountain. Like he meets us right where we're at. And so when he asked me to start painting these fish, I was listening to a lot of Beyonce and it quickly shifted because I knew he was there with me. This was worship. And so his choice of my subject matter being, transforming into hands and rings and these game fish, these huge fish that I'm painting, he asked me to create these. And so now I listen to worship music. And Michael Bethany is my go-to, or Carrie. But yeah, I think it's interesting how once you feel his presence, it changes your posture. And we live with my family right now, so I work in the corner pocket of my mama's garage, and there's a couple feet for me to fit an 8-foot painting and my body and my palettes behind me. There's something very specific that he designed for this season of my life. It's physically challenging, but so good.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of I can't get distracted.
Mhm.
It feels like the most intentional season of my entire life. And as an artist, I went to school for art, and so this is very different. It's a different series, obviously, like I kind of touched on with the content, that it's not for me, it is for him, but the physicality of that. And I think too, as women, when you become a mom and you share your body with another being, and then if you're lucky enough, you get to breastfeed, you just learn that those physical markers of just time well spent is a very real discipline that we get to touch every day.
I agree. I was that mom. I got to stay home with mine, and I nursed all mine for a year.
Mhm.
One wanted to go longer, so, you learn with each one, "Oh,
Yes.
this is how this works."
Yes, there's a learning curve for sure, and everyone is so different. Their needs are so different. You
Yes,
become a different you become a different person with every kid. It's really wild and beautiful
it is.
how we it's not a shape shift to accommodate, it's really transformation. And the Lord knew who those people were gonna be that you were gonna get to raise up, and it's very interesting the gifts that each one brings their mama. It's so perfect,
Yes, and you think they come from the same womb, that they would be something alike, and they're not. Mine are all very different.
really.
Yeah,
I find the same.
yeah.
Mine look a lot alike, and neither of them look like me, but they could not be more dissimilar.
Mhm. Well, tell me more about how your book came to be as a fiction book. What do you think was going through your mind? Was it because of your ideal reader, or because you're a creator by nature, you just wanted to have a little more creative license there?
Yes, it was very organic in that desire to build out a world, and I went into the contract and this process thinking, I'm going to write nonfiction because I've never written fiction. Like that was not even an option I had considered. And so when I started writing, I think my style suddenly spoke to that and lending itself to building out an environment. And I am a storyteller. I think what I finally came to that honest truth about myself and that I love to tell stories. So it was always going to be this way. I just kind of fought it and the intimidation of not knowing what I was doing, but having the skill set to tell a story I think was a great foundation. And then really leaning into just what's required. It's been a
It's quite a
process.
process. Writing
Yes.
a book is a process. So tell us about your process. What's been your favorite part or your least favorite part?
My favorite part has been remembering all of the goodness that gotten to experience. The provision over my marriage, the redemption in my marriage, our love story is just the sweetest thing to me. And so to get to share that with people, I didn't realize how powerful that would be. Something so simple. And it's not that I ever took it for granted, but remembering all of the goodness that I've been able to enjoy in this life, there's something incredible and cathartic in that place of taking time to put language to the good parts and the not so good parts. But that just takes your plot from pretty horizontal to a nice peak, right? And taking your characters from point A to point B. So I think if I had to say, it would be remembering how good God has been through all of it. And that has been really what has emboldened me to share more and be vulnerable in the places of, yeah, this happened and look what he did.
Mhm.
Like, look how good he is. Look how good this act 3 gets to be in places that if I had written it myself, it wouldn't have been that good. It couldn't have been that good.
And that's biblical to remember. I mean, how many times in the Old
How
Testament
many times?
does God
Right.
tell the Israelites, "Remember, remember what I've done for you?" Because how
Yes.
easily do we forget in our flesh?
I hate myself for that. I really do. I've had to learn to be a little more gracious with myself and knowing that he is kind enough to remind us to remember and that there's no problem with me and my amnesia, but it's so human.
It's
It's
so
so
human.
tempting. And there's such an attack there on placing blame. I think we take credit a lot for the good pieces and then we blame him when it doesn't go our way. And I've paid full price for that. I'm still paying full price for that ticket because I haven't figured it out. But I do know that when I remember, I can keep going. And that is so kind. It is so good.
I know for me as an author, what I want these girls that read Crisis of Faith, I want them to hear, "Keep going, keep moving forward. You're in the hard spot. You're in the
Right.
middle, but there's so much blessing if you can just keep walking in obedience."
Yes. Yes. I think I'm learning that too. I think if that's the last thing I get to do here is tell women to remember the places that they'll get to see are so much better because it we get again, I think it goes back to our desire for control and our desire to fix things and the circumstances at hand that we think have something to do with only us. And it's such a lie. And if you can keep going, it gets better. It gets better every time. Even when it's not great, he's doing it alongside you. He's with you throughout all of it. It's not so much richer than pride in yourself that you could maybe carry yourself through. You're being held. And he's so kind and he's so attuned to the desires of our hearts that, yes, we are a part of his one grand story, but he's so good in how he meets you where you are at and what you want. I have to share this story. My outline was due about a year ago, almost a year ago, and I was really wrestling. I thought I was wrestling with the ending, and I was really wrestling with doubt, not in who he is, but who I am, and making it about myself and navel gazing of just like, can I pull this off? And when I finally revealed that part of myself to him and I came and I asked, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? I don't know what I'm doing. And how am I going to finish this? I don't even know where this story is leading. Yet we're here in real time. And everything I've read and heard is that you're supposed to be a little bit ways out to look back on this, on whatever story you're telling with reverence. But I was living in that reverence for sure and being blown away at how grateful I was to who was saying I am. And I felt him so kindly remind me, I asked you to be creative. You already know how this ends. And Florence has been a huge Florence, Italy has been a huge part of my story and the desire as an artist to get to go there. My husband got to live there as a young man before we met. And then as a painter, those guys, the Florentine guys, are the reason why I paint in the style that I do.
Hmm.
So the history of this place and the art that still hangs there, it's my favorite. And I've never been there. So I finished the outline and I take my protagonist to Italy, to Florence, and I submit it. And it's, it's your outline. So you don't have it all perfectly fleshed out, but you've got these points. I got to get her to this city. The outline gets approved, and a matter of weeks later, I have an email in my inbox from the president of the Florence Biennale inviting me to exhibit this year. I mean, come on. I th- I laughed. I laughed and I could hear the Lord laugh with me. And not in a condescending, I told you so, but in that like daddy's laugh of knowing I got you. Remember? Remember I asked you to do, remember these things that so the there's nothing wasted, and he does not forget. We do, but he cannot. And it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I got to rewrite Act 3 because I thought, oh, it's going to be a great trip. And I got to go, and the richness and the depth and those divine moments that we talked about, it was all waiting for us. And it was so good.
That is
So
awesome.
good.
When you read through the Bible, you see when they're obedient, they get the
That's
blessing,
right.
and when they're not, they don't. But with writing, it's like we we wring our hands. Do I sign the contract?
Mm,
Okay, I signed the contract. Okay, do I write today? And you're praying, Lord, please give me the words. Please give me the words. Again, we're like doubting ourselves, doubting what God can do. Again, why am I writing this book? I am not a writer. My degree's in nursing. I've done a myriad of things, but writing is not one of them. I mean, I like praying and writing my journals and writing notes, but a book? I mean, I'm like, should I start with a magazine article first? I mean, I don't
nah,
know.
nah.
Nah,
What?
and look
Nah.
at you. I mean, you stepped into obedience, right? And you're writing the outline. One thing our pastor says is, God said, "Tell the mountain to move." Don't pray the
Hmm.
mountain to move. Tell the mountain to move because he told you a year ago that that mountain was gonna move. It just wasn't time. And then, okay, now he says it's time. And it
Hmm.
sounds like your mountain was Florence.
Oh, for sure. Well, or even just the action to take action sometimes, especially as women, we come up with these excuses. My kids need X, Y, and Z. My husband needs X, Y, and Z, and I need to do this, that, and the other. I think there's a posture here too that we really have to, I think, name because it's not a matter of just doing it. I think our hearts follow, but just because we do it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be rewarded. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? So Moses didn't get to go to the promised land. But that process of taking action and going to paint the things that I didn't think made a whole lot of sense, and then praying through and worshiping the act of creating this art and him explaining it to me. And then the canvas, I got the biggest canvas I could afford, and it still could not fit this concept. And the only thing I got is my language. And so I took notes next to these paintings as they came into being, and that became the book. Remembering how he met me and remembering who he was and the way that he's loved my husband and I, and my daddy and my mama, and my grandparents, and this legacy of him showing up so that I can write it down and share that not just with my kids, but hopefully anyone who will listen. And that is so good. And I think why do we underestimate words? He's spoke it into being. And we all have, if you're able and you are well enough, you have access to the same abilities. There are obviously some that don't get that, and it's heartbreaking, but the way in which we communicate is such a gift, and the access we have to it is not a mistake. So, whether you're healing people and having a nursing degree and being alongside anyone that comes through those doors, you have language to articulate what happened that day. And it was probably really good in all of the good, bad, and the ugly. Like, there's still testimony in your day's time that I think we're required to share.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care how you do it. But we're like, we all have access to language in one way, shape, or form. And it's so basic, yet it's this grand gift that he began it all with.
Where I do love words, and I do appreciate the authors who have gone before us, who
Thank
have
God.
yeah, yeah.
Thank God for them.
So do you have a favorite author that you've read or that motivates you or inspires you more than another?
I mean, I love David and I love Paul.
Yeah.
I love poets as well, whether that's Emily Dickinson. I love Louisa May Alcott. I love just the vulnerability in saying, I don't know what I'm doing, or I know I need to be better and I can't do it. I think I'm really, really attracted to those people who have the courage to just lay out their limitations for us and then write one heck of a story. And even in, to me, it's not special effects that doesn't turn me on. It's the real life stuff. It's the reality of the mundane showing up in such glorious ways. How he shows up in the mundane to make it glorious. So I don't need to be entertained. It's just being alive and the will to keep going is it really, really encourages me.
I think as a Christian author, we have more than just a story. We have a purpose, and there's so many
Mhm.
more deep meanings that we have such a strong desire for our reader to heal, to move forward, to keep going, especially as a mom. Don't give up. Family matters. And
Mhm.
i- what we're doing now is going to affect years to come, other generations. It's
That's
not
right.
just for us in the here and the now, right?
No, don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. It's not it there is perfect purpose in that place. And to wake up to that and understand your place in all of it is so good. And I think of the idea to be strong. My first gut response to how am I strong is, well, he is strong. I am strong in him. And what I've learned writing this book, you're touching on this role, right? As the feminine role of being a wife and a mom. And I think our world really would like to discern and separate the masculine from the feminine. And I'm not talking about harmony. I'm talking about the strength and unity because it was designed that way. And so I feel like you opened this up, but I'm so inspired with just the idea of strength. And I think we all need to be reminded of our place and the purpose of finding strength in the Lord, obviously, and then recognizing those dynamics of the masculine, feminine, whether it starts with your brother and your dad as precursors to your husband and eventually your son. And the power in that, in raising up how you're brought up and then beginning your own family. Do not underestimate the power of that and your ability to share that with the next person because a lot of people want to give up and they don't want to invest in marriage or they don't think that even being with a man is worth its while. And those, it's such a lie. It's such a lie. I can't, there's so many that I know that they'd rather not. And if you're going to succumb to that lie, you're going to miss out on, like I said, the power of the Lord here. It's heaven on earth, and it's
Mhm.
hard and brutal, but it is so beautiful to be in a marriage dynamic and to witness masculine and feminine working in unison. There's nothing like it
Mm-mm.
that I've experienced. I mean, it's such a gift.
Yeah. Well, and I think growing up and having I had parents who set the foundation for what that looked like, and so I was able to see it. But for the listener who did not grow up with that, there's always an opportunity to ask a mentor to show you.
Yes.
Our church has a lot of small groups, and we encourage different ages to join small groups together because then you have that mentor. You're mentoring
Mhm.
someone and you have a mentee. And
Right.
so there's always that opportunity to see what it looks like. All throughout the Bible, there are families and we see struggle within the family. There is no perfect
Mhm.
even in the Bible.
No.
And, but we see what they did right, and we can pattern our family after that, and what they did wrong, and we try to prevent those things from happening in our own family, right? But,
Right.
I think that what you're writing is really gonna meet a need, and you're gonna encourage a lot of people. So you're Liz, I'm taking in your book? Are you the
Correct. Yes.
protagonist? Yes.
Yes. Yes. Can I
I get
also
that a
just
lot. Are you Faith? I'm like, "Yes, I am."
yes, yes. Can I also just say on that note, despite where we come from, the Lord has the ability to transform in a moment. And I think being intentional of placing your heart at his feet, don't underestimate what changes, what he changes, no matter where you came from and what you're missing. I think there's so much possible that we don't even we're so limited in where we think he'll meet us or how he'll move and what he'll change. I've seen him change relationships in an instance where he's there, present, and had been invited, and the next day you carry on as a new person. It is, I think we underestimate that. And it's so disheartening, but, like, if you can know it and anticipate him showing up in that way, I can't wait. I can't wait for you to keep going in that vein and that true story of your great and wonderful life.
There's the triangle that people draw a lot, especially in premarital counseling is, God's gotta
Mm,
be at the top, and
mhm.
then there's, the husband and the wife, and as long as God is first or you're inviting him in your home, in your relationship, in your decision making, then he will show up, and the power of the Holy Spirit in that union is
It's
out of
so
this world.
real. It's so real. And he'll call you on your bologna sandwich. If you're just saying it and your heart's not, if you haven't ripped it out and put it at his feet, he gonna wait. Like it's not, you can't fake it. You can't, there's an actual act that he can see. And we've all felt. I mean, I've definitely gone through the motions and thought, I'm covered and I'm being good and I'm being wise. And again, the opposite of that is faith, where you're totally surrendering the control to him, which is really hard. Really, really hard.
Yes, it is, because in our flesh, we want so much control.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I tell my kids all the time, when I try to do it on my own, I mess it up every time. I've had older children, and I've had mine come to me after they've gotten in trouble or they've gotten found out, and they'll say, "Why do I always get in trouble? Why do people always, find out my secrets?" And I was like, "Honey, that's God. He's pursuing you. When you gave your heart to God, you gave him control. And when you try to run away from him or you try to, push him off the throne and put yourself on that throne, he
Mhm.
he loves you and he's coming back after you." And so I've seen
Man,
my children go through that back and forth with, control, and they're seeing it. And it's so sweet because I've seen them go through those middle school and high school years of trying to find their identity and who they're going to be. What are their morals and values going to be? And now I see them on the other side, a little more set in their faith journey, and it's beautiful. So don't give up on your kids. We all tried to stray at one point in our life. Just keep keep reminding them. And when you think they're not listening to you, years later they'll say, "Mom, remember when you said?" And I'm like, "Oh, you were actually listening to me? That is a miracle."
Praise God. I needed that so badly today. So thank you.
You
Because
should.
I'm learning that with my son. He's so funny. He is highly attuned to his emotions, his mental state, and his body. He's very sensitive and he always has been. And so now that we're entering puberty, sometimes he spikes these emotional outrages and then he'll like come to and look at me and go, "Mama, was that my puberty?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was." And then he's like, "Oh my God," there's this heart check. And he just this week, I needed those words that you just said, that in our mistakes, the Lord is pursuing us. Because sometimes now with the chemically and being a young man and reacting rather than responding and learning how to decipher that, which is so hard. I didn't know how to totally remind him of that. So thank you. Of just these are these markers and these tests of He's pursuing you. The Lord is pursuing you in every single season of your life. Take it seriously. Take it. I hope that my kids, if I could leave them with that, that it's so real how the Holy Spirit prompts you. And those nudges are something to pay attention to. It's so good and it's so real. So thank you. Because I real time needed that this week. I'm going
Yes.
to pick them up and say that. Remember yesterday? That was him pursuing you. And not making it so much of, like, a test that you failed, but of his grace doesn't run out. So good.
So
Thank
tell
you.
us about your book. Do you see this? I know it's hard to see it as a sequel now. Do you see this as a sequel, or have you enjoyed the writing process so you might pick it up and write some more later? Or you're like, I'm one and done?
No, I have become this person that will continue. I started writing the next one when I submitted the first draft to the DE, to the developmental editor. So this one is very much remembering femininity, and it runs through these masculine stories of Liz with her father and her brother and eventually her man and then their son. And the next will be remember or embracing femininity. And so it'll circle around her dynamic with her mama and her sister and her friendships culminating to the birth of her daughter. So I have these sort of dual pieces that it needs to be finished because I really do believe there's such beauty in this unity.
Yes. I like the track that you're on. That is fun. Well, I'm totally invested. I can't wait to help you get this book out and the next. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So tell us about what are your plans for launching this book? Have you thought about that yet?
I have created a companion product. It's actually a game and it's a conversation deck for husband and wife. And I think it's going to land really beautifully, hopefully around Valentine's Day. So having these prompts, this deck of prompts that are really designed to open ourselves up to each other as husband and wife and grow closer, um, goes alongside Liz's story of Adored. So these two pieces hopefully will join us around Valentine's Day.
And I want our listeners to hear, I don't think we've said the title of your book is Adored.
Is Adored.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. And you will see that on Mac's website as well, macmeckley.com. And we'll have all that in the show notes as well as her social media. And we just can't wait to help you get this book out. And I want our listeners to go and see your art as well. How can we have access to your art? Is it for sale?
Every Everything is on macmeckley.com. I will do print releases every once in a while. The larger pieces are being built up to create a series, and then those will hopefully be exhibited all together. And then also subscribe to my Substack. It has been the sweetest thing to release chapters from the book and then sort of these real time musings, if you will, on not just writing the book, but carrying on the story of staying creative in my faith journey. It's been Substack is such a gift. And I usually create a piece of art for each essay that I write. And so that's been a fun little exercise as well.
Beautiful. Well, I will go check it out. I don't think I have found you on Substack yet. That's
Thank you.
exciting. That's
Thank you.
awesome. All right. For our listener who is thinking about setting out on this creative journey, whether it is art or writing or some other form of creating, but they're just not quite sure, what kind of encouragement would you give them?
I want to remind them who they are. They were made by Creator God. The first thing He did was form you. And so don't underestimate whatever track or mode of operation you want to create. It's not an accident. And there's so much power in it when you lean into your creativity, however that looks, from the most basic problem solving to an elaborate painting that hangs on a wall. Everything in between and then some is there for you to play. I think we don't make time and space to just play in our creativity. And that's when he reveals himself, his character, his nature is revealed in those places where we get to just begin to understand what he thinks about us and who he says that we are. I cannot stress that enough. If you cannot right size yourself in terms of who he says you are, you're missing out. There's so much more for you. And it doesn't have to be this perfectly executed painting or sculpture. It doesn't, the finest acts of play require creativity. So indulge yourself. There's a lot that comes from it. Even with your kids, they're capable of a lot more than we give ourselves and them credit for. It doesn't have to just be a separate activity of coloring, which is great. But if you can create alongside them, there's a heck of a lot of insight into who your child is and what they think about you and your themselves. It's really, really good. Really, really good.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, Mac. I want to thank our listeners for being here for the full time. I want them to go find you on your website. Again, macmeckley.com. Get on her email list. You want all these updates on her book and her art. I'm amazed at our conversation, and it's been just such a joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Carrie. I'm so grateful. Thank you.